I competed for 6 months straight for a chance at a once-in-a-lifetime prize. Rewinding the clock a little bit, when I was living in Chicago before I moved to LA, I was a part of the Top Cut Battle League, which was a system run and organized by Phantom Blur, the local tournament organizer for Top Cut collectibles in Chicago, so shout out to you. Basically, it tracks the performance of every single blader who attends any of Top Cut's local tournaments and puts them into a spreadsheet so you can see your points and how you compare among other people who are regularly competing and playing in these tournaments. What they did is at the end of the season, which for season 1 was about 6 months long, they invited the top 16 bladers from that list alongside some other folks who won some larger monthly tournaments along the way to compete for an amazing grand prize in an invitational tournament. And what was the prize, you might ask? Well, besides the honor and glory of being the first inaugural season's victor in the Top Cut Battle League Championships, you also got to take home an amazing high-quality premium wrestling style belt that was custom made for the league and the organization itself. Naturally, I wanted a piece of that prize, so I battled my way to the top 16 and made the cut to participate in the invitational. What you're about to see is the footage from that invitational tournament day. This happened back in September of 2025, so it was a little bit ago, but it was an amazing experience run by some really incredible people out in the Midwest scene. So shout out to them once again. And with that being said, I'm going to try to take a little bit of a different approach for this tournament video, considering I'm actually pretty under the weather right now, so can't do all the bells and whistles with my regular production, but I hope you still enjoy going on this journey with me and seeing how I performed in the Invitational Championships. Before we get into the matches, just so you know what I was running that day, after a lot of thought and consideration, I decided to bring Shark Scale 450 level, which is one of my signature combos, Wizard Rod 160 Hexa, which is obviously an incredible choice, and then I rounded out my deck with Arrow Pegasus 170 Kick. I was really hoping for that pocket pop-out potential with the 170 Ratchet, and did get lucky with it happening quite a few times during the day, so without further ado, let's get right into those matches. Just before that, this video wouldn't be possible without sponsors of the channel, Bays and Bricks, Newsel3D, and Baylocker. Use code WIZARD at any of these shops to support the channel and get 8 to 10% off your next order. Also, check out the official Anti-Wizard Wizard Club merch store, linked right down below in the description for high-quality embroidered apparel like this, lock chip stickers, cups, pins, and so much more. It's made to order with premium quality materials, and everything is thoughtfully designed by myself. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, but if merch isn't your thing, consider becoming an official member of the Anti-Wizard Wizard Club through YouTube's channel membership program. By hitting the join button down below, for just a few bucks, you'll gain access to early video releases, an exclusive members-only Discord server with myself, other content creators, and community members, direct access to my data-driven analysis and spreadsheets, and the ability to ask me questions about the data or anything else directly. Thank you again for your support, and with all of that said, let's get right back into the video. So this invitational tournament is going to have 20 players, and we're going to play 5 rounds of Swiss before going into Top Cut. Each of those 5 rounds is going to go to 7 points, and for the first round, I'm up against my rival in the scene at the time, Phantom Blur, who also happens to be the tournament organizer. Now him and I, we go way back. Every time we battle, it unfortunately typically goes in his favor, but I'm feeling different about today. So let's see if it turns out any different today when the stakes are this high. So I'm starting off against his Hover Wyvern on 160 Low Rush versus my Arrow Pegasus on 170 Kick. And I am a little bit taller, but I'm hoping that can play to my down smash advantage. I do get a really nice critical hit that almost sends him into the pocket, but he does end up popping right back out, and not without losing a bunch of stamina though, and I end up getting a spin finish there. Yeah, you heard that right. He's on Wizard Rod 960 Wall Ball against my Short King Shark Scale 450 level, my signature Baylocker combo. If you haven't seen that, link down below. You can use code WIZARD to save 8%, but that combo scores me another 2 points, so I'm at 3-0 right now when it's first to 7. I've got my Wizard Rod. He's got his, what he calls Biden Blast with a Biden lock chip. No political comments, please. on wheel, 660 kick. And it doesn't matter because I'm still able to extreme him and get to his 6-0 lead. I'm feeling really good here, taking on my rival. First to 7, I just need one more point. To get that 1 point, I'm going to bring my Wizard Rod against his Hover Wyvern, and I'm feeling pretty good here until he starts bouncing crazy on the rails and knocks me into the pocket. My 160 this time is not able to sneak me out, and I just have to get that 1 point on the next launch. Now, you'll see there that I did change my launch style really quickly in a last-second decision, trying to throw him off a little bit. I ended up getting extremed though, so it didn't really play into my favor. I think I was playing a little bit riskier here than I needed to. But right now it is 4 to 6. I have 6, he has 4. I just need one more point, and unfortunately, that doesn't happen. I kind of shoot myself in the foot here and lose 7 to 6 through a series of a pocket and 2 extremes, which is really unfortunate way to start out the tournament, but you know, it is what it is, and it was a really fun match for us and everyone watching. So we'll move on to round 2. Now in this match, I've got my Aero Pegasus once again up against his Cobalt Dragoon on 450 Rush. I was a bit scared of this attack-oriented Dragoon at first, but it didn't matter because I end up getting a nice early pocket to start off at 2-0. Now I've got my scale up against his Pegasus Blast on wheel, but this time it's got a really interesting 760 Rubber Excel, really going for a heavy-hitting hammer build. I launch, and that Rubber Excel goes really crazy right at the beginning, as expected. It kind of follows his exact game plan, gives him a pocket to equalize the score at 2-2. Next, I got my Wizard Rod on 160 Hexa versus an interesting Shark Scale on 270 Low Rush, really leaning into that shape of the 2 pointed blades coming out of Shark. I don't know how I feel about this combo, but it doesn't matter how I feel because it scores him an extreme finish. So he is currently up 5-2. I'm feeling a little shaky now. I'm at 2-5 after already losing round 1 in this massive invitational tournament, but we go into the reshuffle. I've got my Aero Pegasus versus his newer Pegasus Blast. Let's see if I can defeat that Rubber Excel demon. At the end of that exchange, he kind of starts to take hold in the center, and I'm doing this death spiral around him. Normally I would be pretty worried because this kind of movement usually favors the blade in the center, but because Rubber Excel really has poor late game stamina, I'm actually feeling pretty good on kick. So it's still pretty close, but I think I'm going to take this with a spin finish here. Now I do get a bit destabilized because he's just so heavy and hard to move, but I do take the spin finish here. Now we have a Shark exchange, and unfortunately it plays in his favor. He does get the pocket finish to win that match and put me at an 0-2 scoreline, fighting for my life to stay in this invitational tournament. Next round, it's really do or die at this point. I'm bringing out my Aero Pegasus versus his Perseus Brave on Jaggy 160 Low Rush. I get a nice launch and get some nice early contact. I don't really get any rail riding at the beginning. It kind of happens late at the end, but then I get really lucky with the positioning. He's kind of at the end of his spin, and I'm able to just give him a slight push into the extreme zone. Up next, we've got my Shark Scale up against a Cobalt Dragoon on 960 Elevate. So really hoping to hunt that bit here. He's got a bit of a light launch into his corner. I'm trying to find that bit here. Level is taking a bit of time to wind up. I get a wind up, a solid hit, but not low enough. Trying to aim for a second wind up here, but kind of getting interrupted as I try to make my way onto the rail. The longer this goes on, the more it's going to be in Dragoon on Elevate's favor, just because he's going to be able to spin steal and take those last few rotations for himself, which is exactly what happens here. Then we got a classic Phoenix Wing 360 Rush combo against my Rod on Hexa. I get a nice little solid stall with the drop, and he gets honestly really passive. He doesn't get really too good of hits at the beginning. He does get an X-Dash there, but it's pretty late in the game. The hit wasn't strong enough. I'm able to pretty easily survive that. So into the shuffle, I've got my Shark against his Phoenix Wing now. A much more even matchup, frankly. I've got some solid X-Dashes and hits onto his Phoenix, but none of them are able to crit or KO. So we're kind of relying on our bits for some endgame stamina here. But since I'm on level, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take this. Yeah, there we go. Level takes it. Now I've got my Pegasus up against his Dragoon on Elevate, which is really tough for me, honestly, with my deck. This is probably my worst blade to go into Dragoon on Elevate because I don't have the stamina of Rod on Hexa, and I don't have the raw sniping uppercut attack power of Shark Scale on level. So really just trying to get as great of early game contact as possible. I do get some nice little hits here and there, which do destabilize Dragoon a little bit. Enough for me to earn a spin finish versus the elevate bit, which is pretty unexpected. And then finally, I've got my Rod up against his Brave Jaggy low rush combo. It does end up pushing me on the rail a little bit and giving me some action that plays in his favor, causing me to go right into the pocket. But now I've got my Pegasus versus that same combo, and honestly, I just position really poorly. He gets me into the pocket pretty easily. So now it's just my Rod up against his Dragoon on elevate. This is a pretty tried and tested battle. You kind of really have to just rely on raw spin power while simultaneously not getting yourself onto the X-rail when you're playing the Rod here. So I really tried to rip it as hard as I could. And you could see that I've made some contact with the X-rail. I haven't done really a full extreme dash or anything, but definitely have made more contact with it than I wanted to. It's coming down really, really close. His Dragoon is starting to get me to tilt a little bit, and it's just about done. And Dragoon does take the spin on that elevate bit, as you'd expect. It is 6-6 at this point, so I have my Shark up against his Phoenix. It's really do or die here with this battle. We do get some solid hits. He almost gets a nice hit that puts me to the extreme, but I'm able to stay defensive and kind of plant my feet. We're circling each other in the middle. It's getting to late game. It's really close, but this is going to play out exactly like it did earlier with this Shark Phoenix matchup, where level is going to give me the spin power I need to take it and take that match. So getting my first victory of the tournament today. In the tournament, I am 1-2 so far, fighting for my life to stay alive. And in this match, I bring out my Pegasus against their Nightmail 660 Low Rush. Great combo. I love to see it. We'll see if it's going to take me out of the tournament today. Unfortunately, he doesn't really need to do much to take the W here, as I launched pretty poorly and self-extreme after a couple rail rides. So 0-3 start, and I bring out my Shark Scale on level against a familiar Phoenix Wing on 360 Rush. We do trade right here, and I'm able to get a really nice sort of half X-Rail ride to push him into the extreme zone, equalizing it 3-3. Next up, I've got my Rod on Hexa versus his Shark Scale on 160 Kick. We do get a simultaneous initiation of an extreme finish in a pocket, but he's able to jump out while I stay extreme finished, so unfortunately the score is now 3-6. Then it goes into a Shark battle where it's my Shark on level versus his on Kick. We get some solid exchanges going, some back-to-backs, and fortunately this does play out in my favor. I'm able to destabilize him enough, get him to scrape enough in that mid game to take a spin finish here, putting the score at 4-6. Then I got my Pegasus versus his Nightmail. I try to stay out of the way at the beginning because this blade's pretty good at recoil, but after being able to take and withstand some hits, he does end up losing quite a bit of late game stamina. We're kind of equalized, but then I'm able to critical him and take a spin finish, putting the score at 5-6. Brings it back to my Rod versus his Phoenix Wing. I do extreme dash way more than I want to, being on Rod Hexa, but unfortunately for him, I still got so much stamina to spare. I do end up taking a spin finish here to equalize the score 6-6. Caster Manny here says to pick your favorite bay, and that's what I try to do here. Take my Aero Pegasus against his Shark Scale, which jumps all over the arena, does a bunch of X dashes into nothing, wastes a lot of stamina, which plays into my favor. I've got Pegasus trying to go for a critical, almost getting extreme, but not quite. Still really, really close. I start to scrape, and unfortunately, I go down, giving him the spin finish win and putting my day at 1-3. So I am out of top cut, but we're still going to play this out just because it's such an awesome tournament, so let's see some fun battles for the rest of this. For round 5, I've got my Aero Pegasus on Kick versus a Hover Wyvern on 450 Hexa. Really interesting Hover Wyvern combo. They do take a lot of extreme dashes at the beginning, more than I would want to see as someone playing on Hexa, but because of Wyvern's blade shape, they're able to get a burst onto my burst resistant bit, taking the score lead at 2-0. And it's a battle of levels now, as I have my Shark Scale against their Aero Pegasus on 760 level. They get a few attempts at extreme dashes, They don't really do anything at the beginning, but then we get some simultaneous action, which leads to a favorable finish for me, pushing them into the pocket. Then we've got my Wizard Rod on Hexa versus their Shark Scale on 770 low rush. That low rush putting that 770 at 760 height, which is great for them. Get some nice hits going, but then turns into this spiral game with my rod in the middle. Typically plays in my favor as long as I don't get criticaled, but the longer this match goes on, the less likely a critical is to happen. So he does get a really nice hit, but unfortunately he sends me the wrong direction and gives me the spin finish. So our sharks are going at it. Pretty crazy fights, honestly. Seeing them jump out of the pocket was really cool too, but they did lose a lot of stamina for that, so spin finish goes in my favor there. Now we've got their Wyvern against my Pegasus. Really strong early contact from Wyvern. Sends me onto the rail a bit. I'd take a quick dip into the pocket there, as you could see. This drained quite a bit of my stamina, but still looking pretty healthy against that Wyvern. Wyvern does restabilize, but not quite enough, as I am able to take the spin finish win there. I got my Rod versus their Pegasus on level. Trying to withstand some hits here. Okay, Rod is sitting nicely in the middle. Pegasus does send me to the extreme rail, but after going into the pocket for a brief moment, I come back out with the power of that 160 ratchet. Not losing really any meaningful stamina here. It is really strong with stamina on that level bit, but not enough. My Rod takes it. Now I got my Shark on level against their Hexa Hover Wyvern. And I get a really smooth ratchet burst, popping that 450 ratchet with my Shark Scale and taking the round, putting myself at a score of 2-3 overall. So overall, I finished the tournament with 2 wins and 3 losses. Definitely a pretty poor performance. I think I had some nerves. This is also, frankly, right before I was going to be moving from Chicago to LA, so you know, I could blame it on all sorts of things, but really, I just wasn't playing that well that day, which is a shame. But shout out to Nemo, who did end up winning the first ever Top Cut Invitational belt. Looks really great on him. Congratulations to him. I wish him the best of luck in defending that belt as the second season wraps up pretty soon. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this tournament video. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more awesome Beyblade X content in your feed very, very soon. Don't forget to check out the official Anti-Wizard Club merch store, linked down below, for awesome apparel, t-shirts, sweaters, cups, hats, lock chip stickers, you name it, that kind of stuff. If you really want to support the channel even further, you can become an official member of the Anti-Wizard Club by hitting the join button down below. You'll get exclusive member benefits like early access to video uploads, as well as an invite to a members-only exclusive Discord server with other content creators, members of the community, myself as well. You can chat with me, ask me any questions you like, that kind of thing. Hope to see you there. And other than that, thank you again for watching. Let me know what you think of this video down in the comments below. We'd love to hear and see what you think. But with that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your December. I'm sure you'll see you again before the end of the year. But all that said, my name is Ryan with the Anti-Wizard Club. Thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with my sick voice. And welcome to the club.